Hello everyone. It's a pleasure to address you by using this medium of instruction. As you already know, I'm going to make a series of presentations on international humanitarian law. And as I have been introduced already by the coordinators of this program, you already are aware that I was working for International Committee of the Red Cross as a legal advisor for 20 years in different parts of the world. And prior to that, I was teaching for almost 20 years international law, including international humanitarian law. So this is one of my favorite areas in the broader context of public international law. And I'll be making a few presentations on some key issues coming within the purview of international humanitarian law. So the first presentation that I'm going to make today is on the basic introduction to international humanitarian law, where we are going to look into how this law has developed. But first of all, what is the basic definition of this law? What are the sources of this law? What are the main features of this law? And other related issues, which I'll be elaborating in the course of subsequent presentations that I'll be making. So let us first of all start with the definition of international humanitarian law. What do we mean by international humanitarian law? First of all, it's a branch of public international law, and as students of law, you are already familiar with what exactly is public international law, the law that governs relations between states and so on, which has number of branches, and one of the branches is international humanitarian law. But then we also have to understand that this is a very specific legal regime which is applicable only in times of armed conflict. So, international humanitarian law is designed to apply only in situations of armed conflict, which could be international armed conflict or non-international armed conflict. Now, there are two aspects of international humanitarian law which form integral part of this definition. First of all, one area within international humanitarian law restricts the rights of parties to use means and methods of warfare of their choice. So, one area within international humanitarian law is specifically focusing on means and methods of warfare and imposing certain limitations or restrictions or declaring them as unlawful for certain humanitarian reasons. For example, weapons which are indiscriminate in character or weapons which cause unnecessary suffering or superfluous injuries have been prohibited by virtue of this particular aspect of international humanitarian law. Then the second equally important aspect of international humanitarian law is that it protects persons and property which are affected or liable to be affected by the armed conflict. As you know very well, armed conflicts invariably bring about suffering to people, their death, injury, displacement, destruction of their property, and so on. So, one area within international humanitarian law is aimed at alleviating suffering of people who are affected or who are likely to be affected by international humanitarian law. So these are the key elements of the definition of international humanitarian law, and just to recapitulate, it essentially is a part of public international law applicable to situations of armed conflict, which imposes restrictions on means and methods of warfare and also makes an attempt to protect people who are affected or likely to be affected by situations of armed conflict. Now, we usually divide international law into modern IHL and classical IHL. Modern IHL, as you can understand, applicable in modern times, and its growth is characterized by developments which have taken place during the recent past. So, Sources of modern international humanitarian law also happen to be sources of public international law. And those of you who are already familiar with public international law, you will agree with me that the authoritative statement regarding sources of public international law is to be found in Article 36 or 38 of the Statute of International Court of Justice. These are like international conventions, international custom, general principles of law, and judicial decisions and juristic works as subsidiary means of for interpretation of the rules of international law. So this can be considered as the provisions in the Statute of International Court of Justice, which talk about sources of international law, can be adopted for international humanitarian law as well, and therefore we can say customs applicable in times of armed conflict, conventions which are designed to apply for armed conflict situations are the major sources of modern international humanitarian law. Then we also have to note what are the key developments in the field of international humanitarian law, and for that purpose we can start our inquiry right from ancient times, and we can say a few things about what used to happen during antiquity, then during the European Middle Ages, then coming closer, we can say from 16th to 18th centuries, and then developments which took place in 19th century and the modern times. So broadly speaking, we can divide our discussion into 5 major areas from temporal point of view, starting with antiquity and coming to the modern times.